It's been over 100 days since China alerted the World Health Organization about the presence of a mysterious virus in the city of Wuhan. 1.5 million people have been infected, and the world's reported death toll is edging ever closer to 100,000.
Attenzione, messaggio da parte dell'amministrazione comunale. Si ricorda che è indispensabile restare nelle proprie.
We're in the midst of a crisis. COVID-19 has killed tens of thousands of people. It hasn't even peaked in many Western countries like the US, and it's only just starting to hit vulnerable populations in places like Bangladesh, Syria, and Gaza. It's also the worst economic crisis in the history of capitalism. Country after country has been forced to shut down, sending us into a recession or possibly a depression worse than the one in the 30s.
They're like scenes from the Great Depression. Block after block and around corners across the country, long queues of Australians trying to access support.
America's Department of Labour has recorded the highest ever number of new unemployment claims in the past 2 weeks, just under 10 million.
We have been reporting here on the long lines, not just for unemployment benefits, but for food.
But this isn't a natural disaster any more than climate change is. The blame for these deaths lies with the capitalist class and their sick system. Year on year, they have cut funding to health. They refuse to maintain research into the SARS virus, research which could have delivered a vaccine on the new coronavirus. They ordered doctors to keep quiet about it, so that business could run smoothly. They have failed to meet society's needs on every front, from producing basic necessities like masks to supplying households with food. They know that they, the ruling class, will always get tested, always get the best treatment, while we are left to die.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson is tonight in intensive care at St Thomas's Hospital in London, suffering from the effects of coronavirus.
We had a few patients die in the emergency room because the hospital's full.
Even when controlling this deadly virus demands social distancing, businesses have remained open and forced workers to put themselves at risk of contracting the virus. In Italy, the epicenter of the pandemic, pressure from the Confindustria, the Bosses Association, forced the government to reopen banks, call centres, and the defence and aerospace industries. In the US, Trump said he wanted the country open for business by Easter, before the virus had even peaked there.
America will again and soon be open for business.
Many workplaces have remained open. Workers at Amazon, for instance, are forced to meet quotas that don't even allow them time for basic sanitation like washing hands. And then there's Australia, where Scott Morrison ignored the calls of parents, teachers, and 2,500 doctors to close the schools and slow the virus. All this to keep the economy going. So why are the world's leaders so slow to act? Boris Johnson summed it up nicely when he suggested letting the virus spread through the country, killing thousands if not more, in order to save the economy. Everything governments do is dictated by capitalism and the needs of business to stay open and make profits. If these stop or even slow down, it can make capitalists panic and global supply chains collapse. That's why Trump and Confindustria are so anxious to keep production going. When the boss's profits stop, it threatens the entire system and risks plunging it into a recession that hurts the profits of all the bosses. The coronavirus means that production is being forcibly shut down, and it's very hard to get it going again. The ruling class needs workers to be healthy enough to do the work. That's why they're taking some measures to deal with this health crisis. But this has limits. While most infected people are at least incapacitated by the virus, those most at risk of dying are the ones capitalism considers expendable, people who are old or have pre-existing health conditions. The Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, is telling pensioners they should sacrifice themselves for the economy. If push comes to shove, they'll consider our deaths an acceptable cost of maintaining their profits. Our time is a turning point in world history. The far right is in government in India and across Europe. The racist, sexist monster that is Trump will stay in power now that the Bernie Sanders insurgency has been defeated. We are already feeling the effects of the climate crisis, while the ruling class continues to expand fossil fuels. But this is also a period of resistance. Last year saw revolution in Sudan and Algeria, and mass protest everywhere from Iran to Iraq to Lebanon, to Chile to Ecuador to Hong Kong and France. And now, countries that had low-class struggle for decades are joining the fight. The US, Italy, even Australia. And all of this is coming on the back of the mass mobilisations for climate justice started by Greta Thunberg. Capitalism has brought us nothing but devastation. It has brought us war, poverty, climate crisis, and pandemics. It has to be overthrown.